questions. But I will try to do that. I asked myself, should I talk about Corinthians? Or talk about love? I asked myself, should I talk about Song of Solomon and explain what the clusters of grapes are? I asked myself, should I talk about Ephesians and what marriage is all about? Or I asked myself if I should talk about 1 Peter to understand what a healthy marriage looks like. I'm going to read a passage of scripture, probably obscure when we think about marriage, but maybe it'll make a little bit more sense when I'm done. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7 through 9 says this: Do not be deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. For one who sows in his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but the one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. The last 40 years have been a testimony, I believe, of sowing good seed. And I want to talk about that just for a moment. I had the privilege and honor of meeting a man who was married for 70 years. And when I met this man, I asked him what was the key to a long, happy, healthy marriage. And these are his words. It's the little things that are the big things in marriage. Keep doing the little things. You see, think of every act in marriage as a seed. The issue is not whether or not your actions make a difference. The real question is, what kind of seeds are you planting? Little things are seeds that help nourish and support your marriage on a daily basis. Now, I asked Brad and Wendy some questions, and they didn't know why I was asking the questions exactly or how they would connect to that. But I asked them to explain some little things in their marriage, and I want to share some of their little things. I asked, what is a little thing that you love about each other? Brad, you told me that Wendy has always believed in you and never doubted you. And I know as a husband, I think I can conquer the world when my wife thinks I can do anything. Wendy, you said that Brad can hardly wait for you to wake up in the morning, and sometimes even makes a little bit too much noise and hope probably they can get up a little early because he loves your time together and your routine every morning. And like a kid waiting for Christmas, can't wait to begin that day again with you. I asked, what is a little thing that you learned about communication that makes a big impact? Brad, you said that Wendy always listens. She'll listen as long as it takes to make sure that unresolved issues are resolved. And Wendy, you said you've never had a fight. Sometimes you zigged and he zagged, or he zagged and you zigged. But you've never had a fight, and you've always talked things out, never going to bed mad at each other. I asked, what is one simple, small, seemingly insignificant thing that makes you smile about each other? Brad, you said to see her joy, her smile, when she sees the grandkids coming. And I understand that as a grandparent myself. Wendy, you said when he puts his arm around you, that he loves to put his arm around you in church or wherever as he sits beside you. I asked, what is one little characteristic, just maybe small, but makes a difference, that characteristic? Brad, you said her kindness and her generosity. And I think we all have experienced that kindness and generosity. And when you said Brad's unwavering love for God, his family, and for you. And then lastly, I said, tell me one little way you try to serve each other. Brad, you said your love language is food. And I have received some of that love. But how you make breakfast every morning when she gets up, so you can begin the routine together. And when you said by listening to what each other is saying, not just to communicate, but to really hear the heart of what each other's saying. One of the things Tiff and I often say is sometimes we don't listen to each other's voice, which is not literally what they're saying, but the heart of what they're saying. And when I read that, I thought about how intently Brad listens to what you're saying and why you're saying, to understand who you are. The happiness of most people we know is not ruined by great catastrophes or fatal errors, but by the repetition of slowly destructive little things. Author unknown. Brad and Wendy, don't ever stop doing the little things, because those are the seeds that create the most beautiful things. I asked that same man, married 70 years, what was the little things that he did for his wife? And he said, I would make her a strawberry milkshake almost every day. In fact, the last 2 years she's been in a home. She has Alzheimer's, and I've never missed a day in bringing her a milkshake. And when she drinks that milkshake, I see her smile and her eyes light up because it's about the little things. So if I went back and I talked about love is patient, love is kind, well, the little things requires patience and kindness. If I went back and I talked about Ecclesiastes and I talked about to every season, sometimes there's tears or sadness or sorrow. Well, when you think about that, in every season, it requires faithfulness and the little things. Well, I thought about still going back to Song of Solomon, but I thought I would wait to your 50th. And maybe the focus then would be on Song of Solomon. If you think of Ephesians chapter 5, when you think about what marriage does reflect, Christ and his love for the church, it's because from the big things to the little things, he's done everything for us.
Mm-hmm.
And as you practice the little things, it's the little things that allow everybody here to be in this room. So continue the little things. We love you and we appreciate you. Happy 40th anniversary.